G'day mate, and welcome back to another Riftbreaker tutorial video with me, Jetty. Today we're going to be covering ore, and more importantly how to get infinite ore, because let's be honest, that's what we all want. We all want infinite resources, that way we can build freely, do what we want freely, and not have to worry about the consequences. That's what we all want, but to do that, we need to talk about how to get ore in the first place before we even worry about how to get unlimited ore, preferably not fire off any grenades accidentally in the process. So, we're going to start off with mining. Mining, which is where we all start with a level 1 carbonium factory. Okay, level 1 carbonium factory, very, very important, very, very early, forms the foundation of the Riftbreaker, produces 1 carbonium per second for 20 energy and 1 carbonium ore per second. But the critical thing that I didn't realize till halfway through my own playthrough, it's a level 2 one, which I just assumed to just mine things out twice as fast. I don't need things mined out twice as fast. I was running out of resources left, right, and center. Turns out level 2s give you 2 carbonium per second for 1 carbonium ore. Sure, it does cost 40 power. It's twice as much power. But let's be honest, like 20 power compared to 40 power, who cares? Like it's not a really big issue. Double the ore out for the same amount of ore in. Massive difference, okay? And then by the time we got to level 3, which is a little bit later in the game, okay? It's a little bit harder to make at level 3, but once we get to level 3, we actually get up to 4 carbonium out per second for 1 carbonium ore. Sure, it's 80 power, it's now getting really expensive, but again, by late game, it's probably not that much of an issue, but really, really does extend and increase how long your ore patch is going to last. So, same exact thing applies for the iridium factory. Again, it starts off with 1, 20, and 1. If I hold down left alt to take it straight up to level 3 factory, it's 4 iridium, 80 energy, and 1 iridium ore. So these are things you're going to want to get upgraded fast as possible. The rare element mines, same story. It is 1 for 1 for 50 energy, whereas a level 3 factory is 4 out for 1 in and 200 power. The other thing that's very, very important is these only cost carbonium, okay? So it's literally limited and hidden behind your tech tree. You really want to make a beeline research to get all your miners up to level 3, preferably as fast as possible. Like, you know, it's 1,000 ore to make a level 3 miner, but then if you're going to get 3 extra ore out for every 1 mined, it's going to pay itself off very, very quickly. Anyway, that is how we get, that's how we mine and how we extend and stretch out our little mines. But that's not good enough. I promised you unlimited resources, so let's talk about unlimited resources. Now, this will apply a lot more to the campaign than it will to any sort of survival map, and that just comes down to the way that combat is engineered inside the campaign compared to inside a survival map. So over here we have the synthesizers, okay? The carbonium and the iridium synthesizers. We can actually make these materials. We have them over here. Carbonium synthesizer and, the iridium synthesizer. Now, these in a level 1, level 2, and level 3 consume 500 power. It's a lot of power. You really want to avoid these as long as possible, and you'd really much prefer to mine the resources. Or, depending on how big you are into min-maxing your game, if you've got excess power, build a couple of these. Chew up the excess power, because excess power sitting around doing nothing isn't really helping you. So, level 1 produces 2 carbonium ore for 500 power. Level 3 produces 3 for 675. So, way more efficient. If you can upgrade it, upgrade it. Level 3 goes up to 4 ore for 800 energy per second. 800 energy, a lot of energy, don't get me wrong. It's a lot. But 4 ore per second, that's the equivalent of one of those miners running forever. Infinite resources. Now, you're going to have a lot of cost in your resources already. You know, making ammo for Mr. Rigs, making ammo for your guns. You're going to have, as you can see, some negative numbers you're going to have to overcome to start with, just to keep with the upkeep of your base. So having a couple of these, especially if you've got the power set up to do it, is really going to add up in the long run. Very exact same thing happens for the iridium synthesizers. We have 2 for 500, we have 3 for 675, and we have 4 for 800. Now, rare elements are a whole different story. We need to get them through an alternate means. But what I want to show you guys is how you can take this theory of turning power into raw resources and really, really apply it to your game. What we need to do that is I need to jump over a campaign map and show you how I did it. So here we are in a campaign map, and I'm right at the end game. Just let's not worry about that too much. But if we open up the Rift Gate, wrong button, and I look at my different outposts, okay? You have your headquarters. Headquarters threat very, very high. Very, very high. Very, very, attacks to deal with. Most of your outposts, decent ones that have rare resources, and decent amounts of actual real resources, same story, it's going to be threat level high. If you pick one of the ones that's for a side quest and then build an outpost, because don't forget you can have up to 8 outposts. Turns out I've got 9. Oh, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I have 8. I have 8 outposts, even though it says outpost 9. Obviously, there's no 3 in this list. What you can do is you can set up a resource outpost. Now, the biggest thing when you set up one of these resource outposts is if you're not there, they don't get attacked. No events happen, nothing happens. The map just saves its state, and then whatever resources you're making per second filter into your main base or any other outpost you happen to be on. So on this particular outpost, I went and made infinite resources because I got sick of looking for mines for both carbonium and iridium and all that sort of stuff, and I just went and synthesized everything I need. So, as we can see over here, I have a good selection. Probably not quite enough, considering my carbonium's still at -9, but a good selection of synthesizers. Now, at this stage, I could only access the level 2 ones. I didn't actually have any cobalt at the stage to upgrade to level 3, but I have a good selection of synthesizers, and each one of these is making 3 iridium per second or 3 carbonium per second. And if we bring back up the Rift Gate, it doesn't actually tell me how much it was making, but I'll put it up on the screen on the right-hand side because it was producing an awful lot. Now, I chose this particular planet because, as you can see, the wind power is horrible, but the solar power is awesome. So I have giant solar farms and 15 million power storage because, well, the synthesizers use a lot of power constantly. As you can see, I have actually defended this particular base, but, Briggs and Ashley keep having events and all that sort of stuff. But as soon as I leave here, all the events stop, which means this is producing an awful lot of resources for me for absolutely nothing. Till that happens. With our base resources out of the way, now let's talk about the rare resources, because there's an awful lot of rare resources that you don't want to gather, be it cobalt, titanium, palladium, uranium. There's a couple of different types you're going to want to grab, and most of these actually come from these cultivators. So let's talk through a cultivator very, very quickly. Cultivator, let's talk about a level 1. Cultivator takes in 100 water per second and lets you pick a plant, okay? And there are lots of different plants out there. As you can see, all of them produce some sort of rare resource, varying in potency and type. All depends on which different plants that you've scanned throughout your gameplay. In my case, this being a creative map, I've got access to everything. And in fact, we actually have this cultivator level 3 producing various powder, ridiculous, yes. And beside that, I actually have 2 of these harvesting stations, which are mining that up. And as you can see, they are producing 3.5 carbonium, 3 point something iridium, and 1.5 rhodonite per second, each. Now, there's going to be a lot of arguments in the comment sections. There's been lots of arguments on Reddit. I've seen arguments on Discord about what the perfect ratio of cultivators to harvesting stations are. So I've built this little test. Okay, I have a couple of cultivators, couple of harvesters. We can just go through the list. So I have a cultivator level 1, which has 3 drones going out and planting things. I have a harvesting station level 1, which has 1 drone that goes out and mines things. Okay. We have Cultivator level 2, which has 6 drones going out planting things. I have a Harvesting Station level 2, which has 2 drones going out and mining things. Okay? And then when we step up to level 3, I have 9 drones going out planting things. And the level 3 Harvesting Station has 4 drones going out and mining things. Sounds pretty simple. I just recommend make your life simple. It doesn't matter too much. Put down a cultivator, and for every cultivator, put down 2 harvesters. And literally put them side by side, just as I have. In my particular case, this example's actually been running for about half an hour, so it's been running for as long as it possibly can. I have a cultivator, okay, which is planting these particular plants, running 9 bots. I have 2 harvesters with 4 bots apiece. And I also have this harvesting station up here also enabled with 1 bot as well, which means I've got 9 bots planting and 9 bots cleaning up. And as you can see from the range on this particular tower, it's not really planting any further away. And I gotta tell you, by turning this machine on and off after giving it another half hour to sort of stabilize, it makes no difference, okay? Turning on the extra harvesters doesn't really make a difference either. General rule of thumb, if you come here and there's resources everywhere, maybe add another harvester. If there's if there's no resources whatsoever, maybe remove a harvester. It's pretty much how the rule of thumb goes. There isn't a lot of science to it. All my experimentation hasn't really gotten me anywhere. And same with the range. The range does increase the more levels your cultivator and your harvester has. But as you can see, for all its range, it's not planning further out. Okay, so that covers these guys very, very quickly. Now, as I said, we're mining ridiculous. Veritas Pruda ridiculous. Okay, and we're getting bring that guy back up 1.5 and 1.7. So we're getting about 1.5 per second from 2 of these guys. Now, one thing when it comes to the Riftbreaker is the more familiar you are with a plant, the more resources you get. So if we go click on ridiculous, we can see I have a familiarity bonus resource of 6%. So I should be getting 6% extra resources. In saying that, if they're only bringing in 1.5 per second, 6% on top of that is 1.57, 8, 9, maybe. So it's not a big difference, but it does make some sort of difference. Not to mention, I'm also bringing in iridium, aronium, and carbonium. So looking at those, they're making about 3 per second each, so 6% extra starts to add up. But let's go look at something that has a little bit more research done on it. Okay, so here we are on my single player campaign, where I've made it all the way through the end game, and just checking really quickly, my familiarity bonus here is at a whopping 20%. I've scanned 366 of these particular crystals to get this bonus as high as possible, and it's still doing rhodonite, carbonium, and iridium, aronium. And as we can see, I'm harvesting about 1.5 to 2 per second, and almost 3.5 to 4 of the other 2 resources. Which, look, to be perfectly honest, it's not a lot of resources extra. It's not a lot for a whole lot of scanning. But rather than standing there and scanning for a very long time, you know, standing here with a scanner, let them plant that one or rip that one up and then scan again and everything else. What I actually do is every single time I come through these areas, because, well, if we look at the map really quickly, I've got a planting here and a planting there if I didn't disconnect the power. Plus I have some plants here and plants here. You can see all these white bots moving around. I've made sure I have infinite resources using many of these planting stations, which we're about to go through. I just make sure that I absolutely destroy everything each time I wander through. I pick up any resources that pop out. More importantly, I'm looking for the little green thing that just disappeared in my inventory. These ones. These little ones here increase my familiarity, which if we go back into here, back into here, back into here, and back in here, we can see that I got a couple of scans by just running through the area and demolishing everything. which is great because I really like demolishing things. And once the game loads, because it does not like the first explosion or two from different colors and just has a think about it. It's not the graphics card, unfortunately. It's not CPU. I don't know what it is. But yes, each time I run through these areas, I just hit things along the way and pick up whatever falls out. So, with that said, you have many, many options when it comes to these cultivators. Okay, many, many things that they can plant. Actually, let's go grab a nice brand new blank one. And let's talk about our options. Now, a couple of things I do need to know is, obviously they need water, okay? Whether they be a level 1 or a level 3, they're going to require 100 water per second. That's not too hard to provide. The other thing is they will not build on platforms. So they can't plant plants on platforms, obviously. There you go, there's one of those things. There we go, another +1 to uranium thingy crystals. Okay, so our plant types. We have lots of different plant types. And what I try to do is I try to make sure that I have one of everything. So in my case, I have these green crystals you can see on my left. They're actually providing all my uranium needs, okay? I'm not mining uranium anymore. I gave that up very, very long ago. I mined out a few patches to get myself started and then came back to the home planet and put down a whole bunch of the cultivators, planting both... You're not going to tell me what they're called, are you? Imperatrix Veritas and also Veritas Perita Veritas. Yes, yeah, I'm not pronouncing any more of the names, but I am planting a couple of these for both the uranium, the carbonium and iridium. Also the blue ones for... You're not going to tell me what it is? I can't remember what that one is. Actually, let's just equip it, and then you'll tell me, right? Nope. Third night, that's the one. So planning some for third night, some for... I'm not going to remember any of these names, am I? Tanzanite, Hazenite, and Rhodonite. There we go. So, planting a couple of different plants for all the different resources. I am generally looking, anything that has a 4 combination is generally the one I'm going to plant. So, there are a couple that have 4 combinations. So this one has titanium, rhodonite, iridium, and plant biomass. The plant biomass is very, very good if you looked at my previous video where we covered power. I'll actually link it up the top right hand corner. You'll probably also find it down in the description. We used a whole bunch of plant biomass to make flammable gas to make power, and by having a couple of these stations down just providing constant plant biomass, it means I don't have to worry about it, and basically I'm turning the energy I'm spending here into free power somewhere else to potentially run more of these sorts of setups. Palladium, or Hazenite, one of the two. There is one that makes cobalt, which is the other rare resource. That one. The blue crystals. Fungus Crystal Cornelius makes cobalt, which means I actually... You don't tell me an income per second. I don't actually have... No, I don't have any cobalt on any planet, okay? What cobalt I am getting is coming from these crystal mines. So as you can see, this one's doing 2 cobalt per second and 2.1 thirdnite per second. This one, which is between 2 of them, because I was trying to optimize things a little bit, is doing... We'll not talk about how bad that one is. This one over here is doing... a little bit, also picking up some plant biomass because there's some plants over here that haven't been harvested yet. This is another one doing uranium. Notice it also comes in as processed uranium. It's not raw uranium that you're going to run through a centrifuge. It's pre-processed, ready to go. Same with this one. And where's my next set? Oh, this one's doing weird brain plants. Yes. yes, for palladium. Not a whole lot, because my familiarity with these particular plants is pretty low, to be honest. And this has got to be set up in the absolute worst spot possible. But it is working, and I am getting in a, 1 palladium per second. It's not a resource that you tend to use a lot of. That one. Palladium's not a resource you tend to use a lot of, so I haven't been too worried about it. Although I do have a couple of machines making planting brain trees. We're going to call them brain trees. Yes. So this is doing another 2 total. This one's doing another 1.5. This one over here is doing trees and has been doing them forever for titanium. So this little tree farm is taking care of my titanium needs, doing about 3 titanium per second, and also gives me some wonderful trees that I get to blow up each time I pop through and pick up a whole lot more resources. This one's doing hazonite, 1.7 and 1.7, so a good amount of hazonite. And you've got to remember, some of these resources are actually infinite. So hazonite, tanzanite, ferdenite, and rhodonite are all infinite. There is no maximum storage. As you see, I got 335,000 hazonite. Hazonite, 422,000 hazonite. I could shut these down because they are producing an awful lot of material, but there's no point. They're still picking up carbonium and iridium. The only thing I could do is maybe change them over to the brain trees or something else, but I'm not short on resources there. This one is another one of the ones doing cobalt. You can see 2 cobalt per second. This also, from memory, has a couple of plants in range that I can't remove. That one's doing cobalt as well. This one's in the middle of both the blue crystals and the pink crystals, so it's doing some a whole lot of cobalt plus a little bit of ferdenite and tasian. No, that one. You're doing tasian and plant biomass. And that one's just bringing in 2.7 tasonite per second. It's just all tasonite. We've got another uranium plant down here, which means this is one of the reasons I have many nuclear power plants, to make sure my power needs are just thoroughly met. I've got plus 8,000 extra power. You're again doing uranium, carbonite, and iridium, and I think that's it. No, actually I have 1 or 2 more over here. Yes, this is doing the weird magnetic crystals, which turns out are very heavy in cobalt. And that completes our tour, apart from a whole bunch of nuclear reactors. So, all these require is water and power. So if you have water and you have power, which you should be able to make on just about any planet, and it doesn't have to be your own planet. It can be... as you can see, this one's making tasonite. This is because it has a cultivator on it. A number of my outposts... hazonite, 3.7 per second. A number of my outposts actually have some sort of cultivator running in the background, using any spare water, any spare sludge converted across to water or mud or whatever it happens to be, just to make the rare resources. Because you've got to remember, they all get sent home. Like Outpost 6, this is the uranium one. This is the one that you're meant to go to for uranium. As you can see, Outpost number 6, I am producing some crude uranium and then bringing it home and then converting it, but most of it's actually coming from my cultivators. My cultivators are just leaving everything else for dead. Same with this titanium. It comes from a cultivator. It's just so much easier. So yes, quick recap. The TLDR is upgrade your miners as fast as possible. If you want to start getting infinite amounts of carbonium and iridium, really recommend, especially in the campaign mode, you go off-site to one of your outposts that don't have too many attacks, defend it up once, put down lots of power, start making a whole bunch of synthesizers. Once they're built, get off planet, never come back. If you never come back, you're never going to have an attack ever again. It just means you don't have to worry about it. But these will produce a certain amount of resources per second for a certain amount of power in. Lastly, if you want the rare resources, cultivators. Cultivators are your friend. You can grow any type of resource you want. And if you want to increase your familiarity bonus, you can come through with your hammer, your sword, your fists, whatever you want, and just knock down the trees and the plants whenever you feel like it. Look for the pretty green things, or if you want to be a little bit more destructive, use nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons clear out the trees, the plants, everything like that very, very effectively. And just drop everything everywhere. They also make pretty flashy screens. Flashy, 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 flashy. We've got to all love some flashy. As you can see, I am improving my familiarity with just about everything as I fire off nukes left, right, and center. Oh, also, there's no friendly fire, so, you know, nukes inside your base, not an issue. Not like many other games I've played where firing off a nuke in front of my face has led to, well, bad things happening. But yes, this is another increase, and this is how I have managed to maintain and have infinite resources throughout the course of the game. Really, I missed everything. I missed everything. It's a nuclear weapon, I still missed everything. Let's just stick to hammers. Yeah, this is how I've managed to make sure that I have infinite resources throughout the course of the game. Just made sure that I had to walk through these areas every so often and just, you know, hulked my way through and made a whole bunch of synthesizers. Your other option, if you want a little bit more passive approach, is you can wander around with a scanner and, you know, aim it at everything and increase your stats that way, but I find it to be painfully slow and not all that efficient, and for the time I can spend scanning individual things that sometimes get removed whilst I'm scanning them, I can just hulk my way through, you know, when the game doesn't have an issue, and increase my stats that way. Anyway, with all that said, this is where I'm going to leave this particular video. I do hope you guys found it very helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, can you do me a favor? Can you leave me a like button? If you want to see more tutorial videos like this, by all means click the subscribe button. And lastly, I hope to see you guys in the very next video where we're going to be covering more Riftbreaker, more Riftbreaker tutorials. I think we need to cover weapons. I'm not sure whether it'll be the next video or not, but we do definitely need to do something on both weapons and mods, because they can be insanely powerful if used in the right combination. Anyway, with all that said, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the very next video. Alright, bye.